All right, it's 9 o'clock on this Monday, Cyber Monday, December 1st. That means it's time for the live Zone Primetime. Thank you so much for joining us, whether you're watching on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page or Fox Local. Another busy night and another busy evening, but we're going to get to Tony P in just a minute. First, though, we're going to start things off with a little breaking news, and this breaking news is coming to us from Port Lucie, Florida tonight. That is where there has been an officer-involved shooting. An officer has been shot. Port St. Lucie, Florida. Not many details at this point. This is a live picture right now of a heavy police presence on the scene. What we do know is that it occurred in the area of Tradition Parkway and Gatlin Boulevard. If you're familiar with the area, the officer currently at a local hospital. There's still no word on the officer's condition or what led to the shooting. Still no word on a suspect or a motive either. Just about 30 minutes ago, the police department in Port St. Lucie put out a statement on their social media. You see it right there. Officer-involved shooting. Today, officers responded to the 11,000 block of Southwest Lake Park Drive in Port St. Lucie for a disturbance. An officer was shot while investigating this incident. The officer was taken to HCA Florida Lawnwood Hospital in Fort Pierce. Law enforcement actively investigating the circumstances and has secured the scene. Staging area for responding media will be at the HCA Florida Lawnwood Hospital at the overflow parking lot on Nebraska Avenue, located across the street from the ER. So taking you back to that live picture now, we will stay on top of this. If we get any new developments, we will bring them to you as soon as possible. In the meantime, though, I do want to welcome you back, say hello, and we got to get to the man of the hour this evening because Mike Thomas is sitting right next to me, but that's not who I'm talking about. He's got to hold his horses a little bit. Yeah.
We're
going to get to you in a second. First, though, I got to bring this guy into the conversation because Tony P is on stop 2 of what is turning into an international tour. Tony P started with us last Wednesday night, and Tony P, you were in Boston, Massachusetts then. That's where you spent the Thanksgiving holiday. But tell everybody where you are now.
I was so shocked, and I loved the fact that you had the title down there. I was thinking about that title for this the entire day. Well, it's almost just the morning time here in Brussels. I am here in Brussels, the capital of the EU, of course, Belgium, right? I would say it's right on the border of Luxembourg, as well as France, and you have Amsterdam and the Netherlands to the north of us. I'm kind of doing a weather map style delivery here for you. But yes, I'm on my first trip ever outside the United States, and I'm 27 years old. I've never been anywhere but Florida. Maybe that's the furthest south, and then I got close to the Canadian border because I've had friends that have places and lake homes in Vermont, Maine. So that's the closest I've ever gotten, and now I am actually here in Europe. And it's just an honor to be here. I'm here with a really cool, it's kind of a half business trip, half fun trip, doing some work here at the EU and other partners. And I have to tell you, I mean, this is basically, if I can give anybody, who hasn't been to Brussels, hasn't been to Europe yet, this is basically like the Washington, D.C. of Europe, because this is the capital city of where you have the EU, you have NATO, it's stationed here as well. So a lot of the European commerce, politics, foreign policy is all done right in this city center. Now, as you see by the video here, this is really cool. So they have this thing called the Christmas market, like we do in DC, like we have in other parts of the world as well. But there's this place called Grand Place right in downtown Brussels. I think it's about a mile, so about a 35-minute walk. And they have this incredible light display for the holiday season. In terms of the architecture.
Oh, he's back.
So cool. Oh.
We lost your audio there for a hot second, but you're back, buddy.
No. Good. No, so where did you miss me?
Oh, just the last 5 seconds.
Okay, great. But yeah, so all these buildings that you saw in that video, they're all from like the 15th century, 17th century, all the way to like the 19th century, all that original architecture and the lights they get displayed all across. It's about a 10-minute service, 10-minute event. And then you see the tree light up, and then what they do is when it gets really packed, Santa Claus, I don't know where he's coming from. I guess he's close to the North Pole, comes right down, and you see inside the window of one of the stores, he comes out and waves like this. He does like a whole 2-minute wave, and then he'll do like he'll lead a chant, like kind of at a Red Sox game or a Nationals game. He'll lead the chant. He'll start clapping, and everybody around starts clapping and cheering for Santa Claus. And it is just I've never seen anything like it. It is so interactive. He's doing basically the wave. He's doing the wave for us, and it is truly one of those things that it took my breath away. Not just the sights and like what it feels like to be in the center of town, and to feel the people there, but it's almost like you're out of an actual Hallmark movie. And I know I talk about those things a lot, but no, it's literally like you're on set and you think it's actually going to happen for you.
Well, Tony, you mentioned the North Pole, so I have to ask, what is the weather like in Brussels, Belgium right now?
Well, it's funny that you ask, my friend. So it's a little brisk. Now, what's so interesting about Brussels is the sun rises very late here. So it rises around 8:20, 8:25, and it hovers around 43 to 42 degrees, but the wind chill is strong. It's about a 12 to 13 degree difference. So it's about a 28-degree wind chill totally, and it is cold. So we're doing a lot of walking here because we're close to the EU headquarters and the EU Commission and the council buildings, so we can walk to our meetings pretty quickly. But when we were walking last night into Grand Place to go see that event, it was freezing, my friend. I mean, it was, and again, I have some pretty thick coats, but it was rough because the wind was so thick.
Well, you're from Boston, so yeah, you should be used to this.
I told you the thin skin
every single time. But Tony, I'm asking because it kind of sets up our top story tonight, which is our first real dose of winter on the way, because we are bracing for the possibility of a wintry mix, maybe the first snowflakes. Crews already at work earlier today, making sure there are no major impacts to the morning commute. At the same time, several schools in our region already taking action, opening late tomorrow in Virginia, Loudoun, Fauquier, Culpeper, I should say, and Rappahannock schools all starting late. 2-hour delay in Maryland, Washington County schools also on a 2-hour delay. We have a full list that's going to be available on our website and the Fox Local app, where you hopefully are watching us right now. But what you wake up to will totally depend on where you live. Out in northern Loudoun County, where Tisha Lewis was this afternoon, they're expecting some sleet and rain, so crews hit the roads to treat them early. VDOT says it's pre-treating interstates, primary roads, and high-volume secondary roadways with salt brine. They'll be mobilizing tonight to be, quote, staged and ready for any winter weather. Still, VDOT asking drivers to limit their travel while the wintry mix is falling. Maryland's Department of Transportation, their state highway administration, told Fox 5 they have a very similar game plan. Take a listen.
We have up to 2,300 pieces of equipment that we can use. That won't be necessary in this storm because it's supposed to be mostly rain on the eastern shore in southern Maryland. But we will have crews out, and yes, you're correct. We do work in shifts, 12 on and 12 off. It's been a couple of mild winters. Of course, last year we did have a storm that did produce a couple inches of snow. We start preparing for this when people were still getting their suntans. We're doing all of our ordering of materials. All of our shops get together and they have a friendly competition to hone their skills. And we make sure all the equipment's in proper working order, ready to hit the road. And we're ready for anything that comes this winter.
So the district snow team will be on standby beginning at 11 tonight to address any potentially icy conditions. But for more on what to expect, when, where, all of that good stuff, and the next round of winter weather could be right behind Tony P. So we've got to get to the man of the hour, and that is, of course, the other man of the hour, Mike Thomas, this guy down here who has
He's in my seat tonight.
Patiently been waiting. Yeah, and he took your seat, Tony P., because you are spending some time on the other side of the world currently.
I'm keeping it warm for you, Tony
sir.
P. I'm trying here. Tony,
you better, my friend.
It's going to be like 4 in the morning.
It is. We woke him up early. He's getting his first true taste of morning news.
This is the morning show with Tony P. That's awesome.
I'm loving it. I mean, I've always wanted to do mornings, so you know what? I'm getting the best of both worlds, my friend. I feel like I'm in the future.
Too, Tony, but I'll tell you what, ever since they moved me to evenings, thumbs up to sleeping in.
You feel a lot better, don't you?
Yeah, he's not mad about it.
Now, if I could go back to that interview with the gentleman from the Loudoun County, from when they were spreading, I have been bothered all day by the fact that he has said several times they have some sort of competition
Oh.
and to hone their skills. But he hasn't gotten into details. And ever since because we've been running that clip on the news all night.
Right.
And I'm like, I want to know what this competition is. Are they like out on the roads racing each other? Like, I'm sure in a closed system. But it seems so fun.
guess.
How fast can you solve the roads?
Look, I mean, especially in an area like this that not known for handling it the best.
No.
And that's why,
No.
honest to God, we're talking about, for some areas,
this is
maybe
online only, right?
this is we're streaming on Fox Local and YouTube.
Oh, Fox. Okay, so we can say whatever we want.
You can say whatever
this
you want.
This area sucks.
They
at
suck.
handling snow.
They suck. We are talking about 1 inch. In any other world, 1 inch is laughed at.
I have friends from Boston, like Tony P.
Yes.
And yeah, we're laughed at. I have friends in Chicago who got 8
Oh,
inches of
it's
snow
nuts.
the other day, and they were at work on time. Like,
Yeah.
people
Or
do
school.
laugh at us a little bit. But that's okay, because I'll tell you what, when I loved it was when I was a kid growing up here, and, 1 inch of snow was
Right.
getting me out for like a week. That was awesome.
I will also just say, and I made no friends on the Take It Two when I said this earlier, is that sometimes a few snowflakes is aesthetically pleasing. We are kicking off the holiday season. The tree is up in the studio, Tony P. We've seen the lights
is?
out in places
Oh,
like Frederick
nice.
and Fredericksburg. The trees are up. So a light dusting of snow on the grass isn't the worst thing in the world for me.
Christmas lights plus snowfall equals gorgeous.
Equals
Gorgeous.
Tony P's Hallmark movie dream come true.
Well, what's funny is too. Like, so I'm thinking about is I haven't put my tree up yet because of the timing difference with this trip. I'm gonna get the snow-tipped fake tree this year. My mother has that, and I saw it at home. I'm like, I have to get the fake snow tree. I am psyched for that
They
because
sell
that's
it in
going to be
bottles.
adding
You can,
another layer.
Spray it a little bit.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, they
Oh,
do.
that's another great idea.
Fake snow. So
Oh, that
when
is
we have
beautiful.
those miserable winters, I just sometimes spray them in my living room, and I'm like, look, yeah, it is actually snowing. Woohoo.
Just in
I think
case
it's
anyone
fall-
out
it's
there,
falling.
just in case anyone out there from Montgomery County is watching and hoping and praying that they will have a snow day tomorrow, we did just get an email from Montgomery County Public Schools who say they are keeping a close eye on tonight's forecast. So no pressure, buddy, no pressure, because winter has decided to
The
make
hopes
things
of
interesting.
kids are on your shoulders.
MCPS is ready. Our snow response and school teams are on alert, and we want you to be aware of what may be headed our way. Early predictions show that. Mike's going to get into that. But here's what you need to know. Decision timeline. At this point, we will continue to monitor and, if necessary, make a different decision early Tuesday morning. But right now, we expect to proceed with a full school day and all activities tomorrow. So,
Do the Kevin McAllister.
exactly, yeah. All right, Mike, get into it.
All right, we'll get it. Look, Montgomery County, you're right on the line, and we sometimes do a little collab with Moco Snow and their stuff. And I gave it 1.5 pencil predictions, as they call it, which is a chance of a delay. I don't think you close tomorrow. I really don't. You'll see why in just a moment. Wintry start to December. Hey, happy December 1st. Happy meteorological winter. We have arrived officially. Temps today in the 40s. And why am I bothering you with temps? Because they are so important when we pull in a new system. And one thing we're monitoring right now is, at least at the moment, a lot of these western zones out here are a little colder than expected, and that could play an impact. I mean, Frederick's at 27, Winchester, Martinsburg, 28, Culpeper, Manassas, 26. Chris mentioned earlier, some of those schools, like down towards Culpeper, they've already announced at least delays. I think if we're going to see any closings tomorrow, and none of these have been announced yet, but, Washington County was one of the ones that Chris said has delayed for tomorrow. I wouldn't be shocked if we see some closures up that way, especially with temperatures sinking so low tonight. Now, D.C.'s still hanging at 37. Quantico's 31. Baltimore's hit the freezing mark. With temperatures getting this low, we do have to watch out for some icing. Now, I will say, temperatures are expected to rise a little bit ahead of this system. That's very common when you have developing waves of low pressure. They'll bring up some milder air. So just ahead of the rain and mix and snow, temps will come up a little bit. So that is something to monitor as we head into the overnight hours. Nothing's on radar right now, and we're fine for the next several hours. It's not going to really move in. And this is something that I think a lot of the school systems kind of both struggle with and will have a decision to make, is it might not start mixing, snowing until 5, 6 o'clock, which is around when they have to make the call. So, 4 or 5 o'clock, it's probably still all right in the immediate area for a very limited amount of time. 5, 6, 7 o'clock comes along, that could be when it's at its worst here in D.C. So it could be a close call. I think we do see a decent amount of delays across the area with some closings north and west. You do see all the snow getting its act together across the Midwest. That's not heading in our direction. It's this band of moisture, and you can kind of trace that heading right towards D.C., coming through Tennessee, parts of Mississippi, and Alabama down that way as this wave of low pressure starts to develop off the Gulf of Mexico. And when they develop off the Gulf, they got a lot of moisture with them. So it'll be a moisture-heavy system. I like to judge delays based on where they put up advisories. I think your chances of getting at least a delay goes up if the National Weather Service does have you in an advisory. And I know Loudoun's got a delay tomorrow. They're in it. Northern Montgomery does, and Western Howard does as well. I can't guarantee you get delays there because you'll see here on Futurecast just how close to the rain-snow line you guys are there. But the farther north and west you go, all these counties, Maryland, West Virginia, Panhandle, Grant, Mineral, Washington, Allegheny, Garrett counties, all those counties are at least looking at some. I don't think a ton, but some snowfall tomorrow. So this is the general pattern. Wave of low pressure is going to develop off the Gulf. It's going to swing up. If this was, mid-February, this would be a gorgeous snow track for us to get a lot more snow. A little early in the season here, but we'll take what we can get. Mixed terrain right along the I-95. Snow the mix farther north and west. All rain. Southern Maryland, St. Mary's County, you're on time tomorrow. I don't see you getting anything other than rain out of this. Same deal, Calvert, Charles. It's going to be a struggle down that way. Northern neck of Virginia, same deal. And as that gentleman mentioned earlier, Eastern Shore is just looking at rain with this particular system. Once it goes on by, it's going to be cold all day tomorrow. Most of us aren't going to get out of the 30s. It'll be above freezing, so I don't expect anything that falls to stick around. Specifically, those locations that change from snow to rain. Mother Nature will take care of this for you just about everywhere. I don't think you're going to have to do any shoveling, even in those locations that do end up getting some snow. So here's the latest Futurecast. This model I'm showing you, what's called the HRRR model, stands for Rapid Refresh. It refreshes every hour, so we try to pull you in with the latest. And it is showing, a couple snowflakes mixing in around 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning here in Washington. Now, that would be lighter stuff. The heavier stuff all starting to move across the I-81, and that's why I said timing with a lot of these school systems is going to be interesting. But look how fast we kind of mix out. By 6 in the morning, that rain-snow line is off to the north of, closer to the I-70, 270 interchange up there near Frederick, Maryland, I-70 up through Hagerstown, and then I-68 beyond that. Now, all of this here is a concern for ice. Down through Loudoun County, Fauquier County, Rappahannock, Culpeper County, those areas could switch from snow to freezing rain. D.C., we're kind of right on that thin line, and that's why, Prince George's, I don't really like your chances of a delay. I'm not your superintendent, so they could always change their mind, but I don't like your chances there. Fredericksburg, I don't like your chances there. So if you're heading to bed here shortly, hoping for a delay tomorrow, those are locations where I think things will run okay. I do think the worst of it is going to be north and west of town, where it does hang on to snow longer. But you see, even by 8 in the morning, that rain-snow line is dancing north of the I-70 corridor. D.C. is pretty much all rain. That pink you see out to the west is pretty much the top of the Blue Ridge out that way. Could still pick up a little bit of freezing rain. It generally wraps up around lunchtime as all rain here, and then as we get into the day tomorrow, or late afternoon tomorrow, I think the evening commute's just fine. So that model I just showed you, putting down just an inch or two. Again, all very doable snows here. This is at a 10-to-1 ratio, and I'm getting complicated here, but with a wetter snow, which is what this will be, you're going to have compaction too, so I think even some of these numbers are going to be a little high. There is a chance that parts of Montgomery and Loudoun here could get a brief coating. It will not last long. It'll be very slushy, very brief, and then once you go over the rain, it's all going to wash away. So keep the sleds in the sheds for the time being, as you're not going to need it tomorrow. So we're going to mix ice to rain in all these counties. You see in the pink, 1 to 3 inches, and I'll be generous with the 3. I think it's more 1 to 2 up in that blue zone. I'm including northern Montgomery, northern Loudoun in that, as I think you could briefly thump, as we call it, earlier in the morning. And then off it's going to go. On an impact scale 1 to 10, this is a 3 or 4. Disruptive to the morning commute. You'll get school delays. Any cancellations should be up in northern Maryland or West Virginia Panhandle tomorrow. And then as we work our way into the evening commute tomorrow night, it should be much, much improved around here. You see temperatures at least, and this is downtown D.C. The model's not putting us below 35, 36. So it keeps us below freezing. It's all the first half of the day, and then we do dry things out as we head towards the evening hours tomorrow night. And then taking a look at the week ahead, Just cold, cold, cold. That'll be a big story of this month. And if you watched our winter outlook, if you read our winter outlook, we warned you. We said we thought December was going to be unusually cold this year. And so far, that we're day one, but it's looking like, at least in that department, every now and then, it's nice to be right. It's looking like December is going to be on the chilly side. Now, there is a change of the air masses that comes through between Thursday and Saturday. And anytime you change, you get 2 waves of cold, you have to watch out for a storm to kind of sneak up in between. And there will be another chance next Friday into next Saturday for sneaking a little bit of winter weather. It's way too early, unfortunately, at this stage to be confident on that. Some models show snow here in D.C. Some models keep the storm to our south and don't show much at all here, just cold temperatures. But look at that high on Friday. 37 is colder than we typically are, even in the middle of January. So we are starting December off on a cold and wintry note here. Morning commute, certainly disruptions tomorrow. There will certainly be additions to that delay and closure list. But I would think we make it to the other side.
Did you guys do a prediction of like when we would get our first snowfall this year as part
I
of the
did
winter
a
weather
couple
outlook?
of predictions in the winter outlook that were like, what did I call it? Like my gutsy calls.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's what I called them. And one of them was that we would get our first inch before Christmas. I don't think we're getting an inch of snow out tomorrow, but we will have more opportunity in the weeks ahead.
Tony P., before I moved to Washington, D.C. and met the meteorologists like Mike Thomas and Tucker Barnes and Caitlin Roth and Jen Delgado and Gwen, I had never heard the phrases snow hole or like that rain snow line, and now they are some of the most hated phrases, I think, for people around here because we are always right on that rain snow line, right in that dreaded snow hole where
it's tough. And what mostly does that, people think I-95 corridor, Heat Island. Not really. It's the Potomac River and it's the Chesapeake Bay and the temperatures that come off there because water doesn't cool as fast as air. Right. So that's why the western zones get so much cooler than we do here. God, you want to talk about hated phrases? Polar vortex.
Polar vortex.
Don't get me started with
Tony P.
It seems we get a few of those.
I was watching your face while Mike was busting out the telestrator action. I always tell Tony P. that we're like, the NFL officiating crew. I'm the play-by-play. Tony's my color commentator. And I think he absolutely needs to be able to take control of this for some of his breakdowns
I was going to say in D.C., but that was just
we
wrong.
do here.
In Brussels.
That is well written, my friend.
And then
third, it's so cool.
Third, Mike Thomas, when you come on this show, talk to me about, honestly, as the producer, and your producer formerly, as back in the booth type of a thing, you get to come on here and talk for about 11 minutes straight. And besides in an actual snow or severe weather situation, what other show lets you do that?
No, just this one. Yeah. So and I can give my honest opinion here, which is great.
And you did.
I don't get
totally
a 2.5 minute time constraint where I'm like,
I think he secretly loves it. I know he dreads when he gets the text from me before his shift has even started saying, oh, by the way, Mike. But I think he secretly loves it, Tony.
I love having you on.
Tony, it's just to see you every night, man.
Well, Tony loves it.
Listen, our bromance needs to continue. What's really funny about, I think, the DC or what I've learned living here is it could either be really a long winter, just like medium snow, or it can be absolutely nothing. That fine line is so distinct. Am I correct in that?
Yeah, it's the beauty of the Mid-Atlantic. Feast or famine is what we usually call winters around here. They're either feast with the snow or famine with the snow, and we've had a lot of famines recently. So it'd be nice to feast a little bit this winter time.
Now let me ask you this quickly. So when you look at for parents out there, what are the things they should be listening for to know it's going to be a really bad snowstorm? Is it a certain type of temperature? Is it a wind direction? Is there one telltale that parents can get to go, you know what, it's going to be a closure?
If you're talking about over 2 inches of snow in your neighborhood, that around this area generally leads to a closure if it comes during the morning. Timing is key, and I said this on the 6:30 tonight. The 2 ways you get a closure here is either timing-based or amounts-based. This is not going to be amounts-based closures. It'll be timing-based closures, and the fact it's coming when the kids would be out at the bus stop and so you don't want them out there when it's icing and sleeting, and some schools might decide not to do it because of that.
All right, well, we have taken up enough of Mike Thomas's time, but in the meantime,
I'll send you a bill.
You can find the forecast anytime. Fox Local, Fox 5 weather on the go, that's where you can get it in the meantime. Thank you so much, Mike Thomas, for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Tony's going to talk to us about what else he's been watching from overseas in the future, 6 hours ahead of us. As we leave you with this break, though, we're going to take a look at those boats lit up for Christmas in Frederick, Maryland. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Live Zone Prime Time. That's the word I'm trying to say on this Monday night, Tony P. And it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas at the White House, if you didn't know, because earlier today we got our first look at some of the new Christmas decorations inside. Home is where the heart is. America, our home will be the official Christmas theme. It's the fifth one done by First Lady Melania Trump. The decor will be made in the American spirit of, quote, generosity, patriotism, and gratitude. The decorations to go along with 51 Christmas trees, 75 signature wreaths, will also include 25,000 feet of ribbon, 2,000 strands of lights, 2,800 gold stars, 10,000 blue butterflies, 700 feet of garland, and about 120 pounds of gingerbread. The theme is being laid out in the White House's East Room. The patriotic decorations are a symbol of America's upcoming 250th anniversary. And Tony P., I know we've talked a lot about some of the changes happening at the White House this year, and you know, I don't know whether there will be fewer decorations, because you used to enter through the East Wing, and that no longer exists.
I mean, I don't even know where you're going to enter from, to be honest with you. I mean, again, based on, again, like the structure of it will be through the front of the White House. Again, there's also security concerns. I wonder if there's going to be a lessened foot traffic this year for the White House Christmas party. There's usually like 4 or 5. Is there going to be less this year because of that, because of the security concerns and just the overall room? I know that I think there's like some Lego stuff that's going to be going up. I think a Lego, some Lego.
There's a Lego portrait
ornaments.
of the president. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I had heard. I think I heard it this morning, last night, whatever it is here. But again, like it's definitely different. I know the last few years, it was very, very extensive in terms of when you walked right into the East Wing. There was, the music, there were the trees outside leading up to the kind of the gate that goes there. What's going to be interesting is where this all flows. And again, who gets invited to these parties? What does it look like? I've been to 3 of the last 4 White House Christmas parties.
I'm calling dibs to be your date, sir.
Not to flex, no, but it was really, really interesting, and it's again, like it gives you that Christmas feel. And every year or so, depending on the administration, depending on where the track of the country is at, there usually is a theme to this. So again, this makes sense with the US 250 coming up, and I wouldn't be surprised if there is kind of some 4th of July spin to the winter, kind of like Christmas in July, but like July at Christmas.
Yeah,
kind of like a little bit opposite there.
I mean, they should have consulted you first. It's almost like you get paid to do this, Tony P. Let's talk about
now and again.
What else you're watching, though, on this Monday evening from overseas in Brussels.
Yes, it's so funny. I was doing the rundown today, and I thought I'd be too early with some of the updates. Because again, the news changes all day. With the timing, I had to make sure I did a decent time frame here. But we begin tonight, of course, in Washington, following the horrific, tragic shooting of 2 National Guard troops that happened during the last time we met on Wednesday here on Fox. And we're going to open with a small but meaningful sign of hope. Staff Sergeant Andrew Wolf, the West Virginia National Guard member who was critically wounded in the shooting near Farragut West, is now showing encouraging progress. Doctors say he was able to give a thumbs up and move his toes during interactions with nursing staff today. That update, according to this update being according to the governor of West Virginia, Morrissey, giving that update earlier today. Now, this update comes during a very difficult week for the overall unit, of course, as they also mourn the loss of Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who died from her injuries in the same attack. And again, just tragic shooting. We keep everybody in our thoughts and prayers of that horrible shooting back on Wednesday. In New York today, we are learning more about the case against Luigi Mangione, the 27-year-old accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. Prosecutors played video of his arrest inside a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania today, and outlined items found in his backpack, including a ghost gun and a handwritten notebook focused on the healthcare system. His attorneys are working to suppress much of that evidence, arguing that officers searched his belongings without proper warrants and violated his rights during questioning. Mangione has pleaded not guilty and faces both state murder charges and federal charges that could bring the death penalty as well. In federal court, judges, I don't know where that came from. Judges ruled today that Alina Habba was unlawfully appointed as acting United States Attorney General in New Jersey. They found that the appointment bypassed the Senate confirmation process and therefore invalidated her authority in the role. We've seen this happen a couple of times now with these recess appointment for U.S. attorneys. So watch out that for a trend as the courts continue to weigh in on this. Overseas today, President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine stood with France's Emmanuel Macron in Paris and made it clear that Ukraine will not accept territorial concessions or enter negotiations that exclude Kyiv. The comments come as United States envoy Steve Witkoff heads to Moscow this week, while European leaders watch closely for signs of pressure on Ukraine and where the final result ends up. Back in Washington, President Trump is standing behind Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth after reports that he authorized a strike on a Venezuelan-linked vessel with an instruction to leave no survivors. Congress is preparing a full review at the moment as questions build around the legality of the order, including one that just happened tonight, the second strike of its kind by Secretary Pete Hegseth and the Defense Department, so watch out for that as well. On the immigration front, the story of a 19-year-old Babson college student is drawing widespread concern tonight. She was deported to Honduras over Thanksgiving weekend while trying to fly home to surprise her family in Texas. Even though a federal order was in place to delay her removal for 72 hours, the student, who has lived in the United States since the age of 7, was stopped at Boston Logan Airport over what officials described as a boarding pass issue. Her attorney says she had no idea of any valid deportation order existing, and that her removal appears to have violated that court's emergency stay, even though there wasn't any knowledge of an initial removal order. In the business world, Airbus says it is nearly finished reporting this roughly 6,000 A320 series jets recalled over a software flaw tied to solar flare interference. The fix involves updating flight control computers and verifying the systems that were vulnerable during high radiation events. Fewer than 100 aircraft still need to be updated, and software will be returning soon for full service on these planes. On a lighter note today, Senator Cory Booker and Alexis Lewis were officially married after celebrating both a civil ceremony in Newark on the 24th of November and a wedding service here in D.C. on the 29th. Booker described Lewis as one of the greatest unearned blessings in his life. Truly beautiful. I got to tell you, what a great amount of timing and time management to do 2 weddings in less than a week before the holidays. Unbelievable. In the entertainment world, Meghan Trainor says that she has stopped drinking coffee entirely after a psychic told her husband she was burning herself out. She says the change has been surprisingly transformative. Also, Lauren Sanchez is also drawing positive attention for her philanthropic plans as she proposes more than $100 million in donations to organizations working to combat homelessness, including almost $12 million right here, well, right there in the DMV region coming up. And finally, we have 2 social media stories for you tonight, and they are taking off. A couple who bought a 130-year-old home is trending again after discovering a letter revealing hidden secret rooms and crawl spaces in the house. I'll tell you, that reminds me of like a Beetlejuice moment there, folks. And finally, Oxford's Word of the Year came out today for 2025, and it is, I think, pretty timely. It is the word rage bait, reflecting the rise of online content in the social media world designed to spark outrage and drive engagement. I'll tell you, folks, I have not tried rage bait because you know what? I believe in actually having wholesome content out there. So even though the word is trending, I don't think it should trend for much longer.
Well, I'll just say, and not to indict myself here in any way, shape, or form, Tony, but I have an entire show that airs Monday through Friday at 7:30 right here on Fox Local and Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. It's called Do You Like It or Not? And basically, to a very minor extent, I'm making my living on a certain amount of rage baiting because I'm picking stories that will purposely elicit a reaction. I want you to either say, hell no, when I tell that story, or I want you to say, oh, hell yes. So, you know, I'm not exactly jumping on social media and just blasting out crap that's gonna, you know, just try to make money for myself with engagement while also just saying things that I don't personally stand by or believe in. But to a lesser extent, I think I do. I think I partake in a certain amount of rage baiting on a nightly basis.
I mean, here's the thing. There's nuance to that, right? So a lot of the stories that you'll do on that are very compelling and also can really, I think, drive nuanced conversations. So in my mind, I look at rage bait as that you go into it with the goal of upsetting people. So with the topics that we do,
I think that's fair.
and that you do on your show, I think it's you're not doing it to actually anger someone. You're doing it to provoke some. I provoke a pretty interesting discussion, and usually I don't see a ton of anger on the show. Neither they're the take it too. I think it's thoughtful conversation that elicits, I think, intellectual thought and good emotional processing.
Tony
But
P,
when it comes to rage bait, it's bad.
That's why I like keeping you around, man. You make me feel better about myself. And
that's my goal, my friend.
Occasional rage baiting. Yes, I'm just eliciting conversation. Tony P, thank you for another rundown. Everyone, just a reminder, Tony P is 6 hours ahead of us right now, which means it is 3:37 in the morning right now, and I love every bit of it. I love every bit of it.
Sir.
We're going to take another quick break. When we come back, if you are watching us on YouTube right now, just a heads up, you are the wave of the future. And coming up next, we are going to talk to Axios reporter Kerry Flynn all about how YouTube is coming for TV's money. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Live Zone Primetime on this Monday night, this Cyber Monday night. And this next story hits a little close to home because there's a chance that you are watching this on YouTube right now. And that could actually be the future of TV, or at least TV's ad money, because earlier today, Axios did a story. I'm trying to pull it up here. Stand by. There it is. YouTube coming for TV's money. YouTube wants advertisers to learn more about their creators because more and more people are choosing YouTube and they're not just watching on their phone. So for more on this story, Axios media reporter Kerry Flynn is joining us now live. Kerry, thanks so much for spending some time with us on the Live Zone Primetime tonight.
Thanks for having me tonight.
So you write that YouTube dominates watch time, but has yet to break into the budgets and planning cycles of traditional TV buyers. So why is that exactly?
Correct. As you know, we all know that's where the attention is going. This evening will likely be turning on my TV and I'll be going to YouTube and not necessarily another streaming service. It's because I've already watched all the episodes of Stranger Things, so I don't need to open Netflix for a little bit. But as you noted, so much watch time is on YouTube, but where they get their ad dollars is from essentially digital video budgets or social media creator budgets from these big advertisers, from these big brands that you're familiar with who perhaps advertise against the Super Bowl or traditional like NFL games. They want to unlock those budgets, those traditional TV dollars. But the way that ecosystem works is a lot different. So what YouTube did last month was essentially put that feels very much like a traditional TV network event. It happens usually in April, May, here in New York where I am, where big companies like Disney, NBC Universal, Paramount will preview their content for a bunch of big advertisers to essentially entice them to buy in early because they only have limited inventory. The same is true on YouTube, right? They have these big creators. There's only a certain number of ads that can run against them, or if you want to do some brand integration, but advertisers still struggle to when to access it, how to access it, and also who they should be paying attention to in the space.
When you look at the overall ad marketplace, with big events like the Super Bowl, for example, the cadence with YouTube, if I'm correct, is very much different than you see with TV. For example, it's not as easy to pull out a 2-minute ad. So do you see with this shift potentially to YouTube full time that brands are adjusting how they're doing their marketing, how they're doing their ads as well to make sure they're actually the right fit? Or are they going to try to do similar ads, just kind of plugging it in to the YouTube format?
I think we're seeing a mix of both. What's fascinating is it's not just the big brands, but so many smaller brands are able to advertise on television now because there's so much more tools to do so. I hate to bring up AI so soon in the conversation, but it's true that AI and automation has really empowered content creation for advertising. And again, that's not just digital advertising, but TV quality advertising. So I think it's true that you can see a TV ad that from traditional TV extend itself to YouTube and vice versa. What's interesting though about YouTube and television is we're starting to see more interactivity with ads, right? Something that was so familiar to YouTube is you could perhaps click to like because you're watching it on your desktop, or you could comment, or you could, again, engage with something. We're now seeing those same things translate to TV, which is happening also at the same time as watch time of a YouTube comes to TV. So it's all kind of converging at once, really in the favor of YouTube.
So, like you said, with that sort of instant engagement, and Tony and I kind of talk about this, we discuss the future of TV constantly behind the scenes here because obviously we're streaming not only live on Fox Local right now, we're also streaming live on YouTube. Being live on YouTube gives the opportunity for people to jump in the comment section. They can talk to us in real time. We can bring them into the conversation. Do you find that live YouTube is kind of the future, or is it going to be sort of a combination of both live and things that people can watch on demand?
When I talk to like creator executives and creators themselves, they talk a lot about the power of the mix of it all. I spoke to Cleo Abram, who was one of the creators that presented at that YouTube event. She's incredible. I highly recommend going to her channel. She produces a show called Huge If True. And what she talked about is she does these high-end shows. They'll be 30 minutes or even an hour long, where she'll go deep. It's kind of like these explainer videos. She used to work at Vox Media, so you might be familiar with that style. She really does these high-end productions. They're incredible. You might be like expect to see them on a traditional TV network, but she spoke about the power of like she does a lot of short form video as well, specifically on YouTube Shorts, because she knows people only have so much time and attention, right? And perhaps people just want to watch a 60-second version of that 30-minute show. Or she talked about the power of live as well. There is another creator who talked about who's doing a new late night show for YouTube. He's considering whether to do a live version or recorded. Probably he's going to do a mix of the two, because that's the truth of the matter, is that if you really want to make it as a creator, you don't want to stretch yourself too thin, but you kind of want to reach people where they are and hit them in different moments in different ways.
I don't know if you saw Tony P's face light up when you talked about a YouTube late night show, because that is literally what we talk about for Tony P all the time here.
Yes. Now, it's funny, feeding into my question, this is perfect. I mean, as we look at the YouTubeification of television, we'll call it, do you see the existing formats, for example, daytime TV, which is slipping a little bit? We're seeing somewhat of a resurgence, but it's slipping. We look at these kind of shared cultural touchstones, like a Dancing with the Stars. Like, do you see these type of formats surviving in the new YouTube environment? Or does the new YouTube environment mean that some of these older formats like late night, like daytime TV, even traditional news, or like these type of game shows are on their way out as well with linear TV?
I think we'll see traditional formats, but a change, right? This is a kind of it depends question. But yes, right. There can be late night. Will it premiere at 11 p.m.? Like, maybe not, right? Like, the definition of late night is changing. And also, late night traditionally has incredible writers' rooms, right? It can be hundreds and even thousands of people who work on a late night show. I don't really see that the case when it comes to YouTube. Though I want to say, like, and YouTube stressed it in their event, that these are still high-end productions, right? There's value, the camera quality is important. They still have great writers. They have teams behind them. It might seem to like a solo show. It's not. But definitely there's a different scale that we'll see changing. And though a part of it too is just there's more content creation tools, as we talked about earlier, right? The fact that, Tony, you could start a late night show tomorrow if you wanted to. You have the tool. You can go YouTube, right? And that's pretty wild to think about the access there. So I do think the formats can work in certain ways. We're already really seeing that with some shows, but maybe the timing doesn't need to be as strict, because that's just the beauty and the power of YouTube.
Right, people are going to bed a lot earlier.
That's
100%.
So the elephant in the room, for lack of a better phrase, the headline is YouTube is coming for TV's money. What we can do on YouTube, and to what you just said with the high quality cameras and the production that's going into it, is cost cutting. You can do a lot more with a lot fewer people. I mean, right now I'm punching buttons, I'm writing, I'm hosting, I'm producing, same with Tony right here with us, type of a thing. Is the margins different? So can YouTube get a little less than what a TV production might be able to charge when it comes to advertisers, because it will still cover so much overhead? Or with people like Mr. Beast, for example, are they earning so much that they still need to kind of make the same amount when it comes to advertising to cover their costs?
It definitely depends show by show and creators by creator, but one thing that's really key to the YouTube creator ecosystem is the vast majority of the way they make money is brand integrations. It's sponsorships. It's things that actually YouTube isn't reporting in their quarterly earnings. They last reported last quarter that their advertising revenue for YouTube was $10.3 billion, a 15% increase year over year. It is a wild, massive thing. What's even more wild, though, is the way that creators are making money is not in that number. number. I think it's the latest is about like 70% of how people like Cleo will make their money to help produce their shows is direct brand sponsorships, or even doing branded content as well. As I say in the story, Cleo has worked with brands like Formula One, like IBM, to produce stories for them that seem like a traditional video she makes. And so that's really a key differentiator of the ecosystem. Obviously, sponsor brand integrations aren't brand new. I mentioned Stranger Things, for example. There's a lot of good licensing deals and brand integrations that happen in those shows as well, but it really is a big difference compared to how traditional TV makes money in a YouTube creator.
Now, kind of a two-pronged question based off of that. So the first one I'll ask is, with these budgets, again, with the regular TV providers, it's usually done internally. With YouTube, we don't see a lot of YouTube getting involved in individual shows giving that money. Do you see a trend as YouTube continues to mature of them potentially giving money to creators or signing them for long-term deals to produce shows right for YouTube? Or are they going to continue this more, we'll pay the creators outright based on watch time and more ad integrations?
Once upon a time, there was a service called YouTube Red, and you can Google it and read about it. And there was YouTube Originals, and YouTube did do that. They like had a bunch of creators, that homegrown creators, to YouTube and made shows off of them. They were not big successes. A majority of them, I don't see them doing again. They haven't hinted towards that. But one thing that I think is important to note is their role in the ecosystem is that, like I said, the way that creators make the majority of their money, YouTube doesn't get a cut of that at all right now, which I think is super interesting. And when I asked their CEO and team about it, they didn't have any plans in the near future, but it seems like a wealth of opportunity, right, to do that. So that's one thing that I expect in the future. When it comes to exclusive shows, though, that's one thing that we're not really seeing when it comes to creators. Ms. Rachel was someone else that they spotlighted at the event last month. And as we know, Ms. Rachel isn't a YouTube exclusive person. She has a great deal with Netflix, right? Does that mean YouTube is losing Ms. Rachel? They don't think so. They think that Ms. Rachel will want to come back to YouTube because there's benefits, great benefits of being a part of the YouTube platform. So will they sign an exclusive deal with Ms. Rachel? I don't think so. We're starting to learn that exclusives are really expensive and hard to come by versus these broader licensing distribution tends to be good for both parties.
Right. And do you see overall, like as we see brands starting to get into content, short form and long form, do you see brands using these type of platforms to have their own shows, to advertise, to have their own series of content, or are they going to try to be more outside to in?
We're starting to see a mix of that. I will happily send you some later, some great examples of some B2B, like, business storytelling that has happened on YouTube, some great documentaries. It tends to be, there's some in-house, but also it can be sponsored and working with a great, creative agency, or like I mentioned earlier with Cleo, partnering with an existing creator on there and creating something branded. So yes, some big brands do have their own YouTube account, and we're seeing a lot of growth and attention there. We're also seeing a lot of publishers and TV networks who maybe dipped their toe into YouTube in the past really invest a lot more. And I hear too from peers in the news media who themselves have seen a lot of growth success from YouTube, which is so interesting to see because YouTube is 20 years old now. It is not a new platform, but it's clearly not saturated yet, right? There's still a lot of incredible opportunity there that we're starting to see more people embrace. Again, to stress at the top of my story, I talk about how everyone seems to know Mr. Beast. There is so much more out there on YouTube than Mr. Beast. While he is a great example of a really successful creator, there's also so much more right there now and so much more to come.
All right, Carrie, we need to let you go, but two quick questions. One, how can people follow you for more details? And two, we see the talking heads and we see Bruce Springsteen behind you. What else you got on the wall?
Great question. You can best follow me. My name, Carrie M. Flynn, is my handle across all social media. Though I will admit, I'm not active on YouTube. And now, given everything I just said, I'm like, should I start? We'll see. We'll circle back when I start my YouTube channel. Tony, maybe I'll help you with that late night show.
Hey, I'd be honored. Seriously. We'll DM, seriously.
Perfect. In terms of the albums behind me is my husband's albums. This is his office. It's not my music taste.
Nice guitar there.
I know. I'm mine is the Peloton over there. But yeah, the Hold Steady, Bruce Springsteen, Talking Heads, a good mixed variety back there.
All right, we love to see it. Tony P's got his Neil Diamond Hot August Nights above his head, so I always like to kind of just see what else people have So thank you so much for spending some time with us here on the Live Zone Primetime. We very much appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys. Talk soon.
All right, have a great night. Tony P., it's everything we have been talking about here on this show and about how different the future looks and the just sheer possibilities that YouTube provides.
It does, and I'll tell you, I mean, Chris, we talked about this offline, and I'll just tell people now. I mean, that's the place where I'm going to end up. Hopefully, if I can pull a lot of, I have about 250,000 followers across the platforms. If I can pull even half that, if I can pull 25% of that, it'd be great, because that's when you start to monetize on YouTube.
Yeah,
and it's a great opportunity to monetize. They give creators the most amount of money of the revenue split. They have so many opportunities to do different content. They have AI-driven editing software and tools right on the platform there. And what's really interesting is that this is the place where you can do long-form content. I did a little an ill-fated show back in the early part of this year called Set the Tone, and I did an 11-minute show on Instagram. Not going to work out. I'm lucky I got a couple thousand likes out of it. But in reality, that's where a YouTube show is going to exist. Sorry, that's where a show like that would exist, is to be on YouTube, because that is where the eyeballs are. And I find it myself. I mean, I have cable still. I'll never cut the cord. But I'll be watching cable TV and I'll be scrolling on YouTube, man. It is crazy. And think about it this way. Syndication used to be the biggest thing in TV, right? You'd have a syndicated show. It'd be out of DC, New York, or California, and you'd go to all these different affiliates, right? Now, I mean, we're syndicated. We're on YouTube. We're on Fox Local, which is tied to Tubi.
Any time of day. You can watch us
any part of the country.
In the world. And you can broadcast. We can do this show anywhere we are at the same time. Tony, we're down to our final 4 minutes, and I promised that we would get this next story in. So I do want to bring it up. We got to talk about the Commanders a little bit. It wasn't pretty. They were back in action at Northwest Stadium last night, still without JD5. You see some of the highlights right here. Last night was a real heartbreaker. They dropped their 7th straight. They were led by Marcus Mariota, taking on the first-place Denver Broncos. Came down to some wild plays, including what could be the catch of the year by Treylon Burks. They tied things up. They forced overtime, some more back and forth. The Commanders went for 2 in the final seconds. And the win, however, they failed to convert. Rather than go for the tie, they lost their 9th of the year. They'll take on the Vikings next week. Still in 3rd place in the NFC East. But that man right there who you just saw, Jaden Daniels, the big question now, Tony P., should he even come back? They're so far out of a Super Bowl hunt at this point. He has dealt with so many different injuries. In your opinion, do you think they should even bring JD5 back and risk any other more serious injuries? Or should they just keep doing what they're doing, work on that development, and hope for a draft pick?
Yeah, I mean, after that game last night or early morning, whatever it was here, I changed my mind. I thought if they had won that game, they may have had a shot to have a decent run and get JD5 back, see if they can win. But overall, this is over. I mean, sadly, with that type of heartbreaking loss, with a string of 6, mainly blowouts, with the exception of one against Chicago, it's time to shut him down, because you don't want it to become an RG3 situation when you put him back out there and he might get hurt. Maybe his body just is, again, a little more fragile this year because he's had a lot of injuries. And I mean, you look at the defense, is still struggling with the same issues. They're getting better on the play calling front, but not by much. You look at the overall issues with the receiving core. Luke McCaffrey is still down. You look at, Terry McLaurin, half and half. And again, you look at, Zach Ertz, who's still there, but there aren't enough weapons to really get him into a comfortable spot like he was last year. So I think overall, with the injuries across his field of vision, as well as this type of loss they just suffered, 27-26, it's time to shut it down. Because if they had won that game, you may have seen a shot at a wild card or a decent season. But, I mean, I held on as long as I could. This is not worth it now.
Yeah, and I say what I've said every single time we've had this discussion, too. 2 things. 1, I cannot wait for this season of Hard Knocks, because even at the practice field the other day, we saw the NFL Films crews out there. 2, this NFC East is a little bit of a dumpster fire. People had high hopes for Jackson Dart. The Giants still sitting at 2 wins. The Commanders, people had high hopes for. Things haven't gone the way that they wanted them to because of all of these injuries. I do want to see him get the reps. I don't want to see what happened with Terry McLaurin, where he just sit out the first half of training camp, all of training camp, and then you just never really get back to where you were at this point. So it's not like I want to see him sit for another entire year before he's back out on the field almost. But on the other hand, you do not want to risk a more serious injury when you're playing for nothing but a draft pick at this point. It's just going to make his stats look bad. And no one's playing for stats or personal glory, but I think it's. But what I will tell you is that Josh Rosenthal hit the streets tonight, and he talked to fans, and he asked them this exact question, and he got some very mixed responses. So you can tune into that coming up in just 40 seconds here, right here on Fox Local or over on Fox 5 DC's YouTube page. In the final 30 seconds, Tony P, you going to still be in Brussels tomorrow night?
I will be. So I'll be here till Wednesday this time. Or early Wednesday morning, I'll be flying out to Rome for 3 days, and then be flying back on Saturday early morning, U.S. time. And I'm just so excited. I mean, this is an incredible place to get this whole continent, not continent, but your continent of Europe, I guess, is
absolutely.
really beautiful. Yeah, I'm getting my map skills pretty good.
That's all right. It is almost 4 a.m. there. We're going to let you get some sleep. Tony P, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here tomorrow night, same time, same place. Fox 5 News at 10. Next. Have a great night. You're clear, Tony P. Thank you.